Hey there, fellow growers. It's your friend from Ruthhaven Grounds, and today I need to share something that completely changed my gardening game. You know how we all dutifully feed our plants with NPK fertilizers, following those ratios like they're the holy grail of gardening? Well, I'm about to let you in on a secret that most fertilizer companies don't want you to know about. Last season, I was doing everything right. My tomatoes were getting their nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium right on schedule. But they were just okay. Not spectacular, not the abundant, vibrant harvest I dreamed about. Then I stumbled onto something that changed everything, and I watched my yields literally triple. The answer? 5 trace minerals that standard fertilizers completely ignore. Here's the thing about conventional fertilizers. They focus on the big 3 macronutrients because they're cheap to produce and easy to market. But your plants need so much more than that. Think of it like trying to build a house with only wood, nails, and concrete. Sure, those are important, but what about the wiring, the plumbing, and the insulation? Your plants feel the same way about these hidden minerals. These trace minerals act as catalysts for hundreds of enzymatic processes in your plants. Without them, your vegetables and flowers are essentially operating at half capacity, no matter how much NPK you throw at them. It's like trying to run a car engine with plenty of gas, but no spark plugs. Let me walk you through each of these game-changing minerals and show you exactly how to get them into your soil. The first mineral that transformed my garden was boron, and honestly, I'd never even heard of it in my early gardening days. Boron is absolutely critical for flower and fruit development, which means if you're growing anything that produces tomatoes, peppers, squash, beans, or fruit trees, you need this mineral desperately. When plants lack boron, you'll see hollow stems, deformed fruits, and flowers that drop off before setting fruit. I used to think my tomatoes were just being temperamental when they'd flower beautifully and then drop those blooms without producing. Turns out they were screaming for boron the whole time. The magic happens because boron helps with calcium uptake and cell wall formation. It's essential for pollen tube growth, which means better pollination and fruit set. After adding boron to my soil, my tomato yields jumped by about 60% in a single season. No exaggeration. You can add boron through borax, but, be careful because too much is toxic to plants. I use about 1 tablespoon of borax dissolved in a gallon of water, applied to 100 square feet of garden space once per season. Alternatively, seaweed meal is a gentler source that releases boron slowly over time. I've started using kelp meal as my primary boron source, and honestly, it's become a staple in my garden shed. Molybdenum is probably the most overlooked mineral in home gardening, yet it's absolutely essential for legumes and nitrogen fixation. If you grow beans, peas, clover, or any other nitrogen-fixing plants, molybdenum is your secret weapon. This trace mineral helps plants convert nitrate into usable forms of nitrogen. Without adequate molybdenum, your plants can't properly process nitrogen even when there's plenty available in the soil. I discovered this when my bean plants were yellowing despite regular fertilization. Classic nitrogen deficiency symptoms, but the nitrogen was right there in the soil. They just couldn't access it without molybdenum. What's fascinating about molybdenum is that it becomes more available in slightly alkaline soils, which is actually the opposite of most nutrients. So if you've limed your soil to adjust pH, you've actually improved molybdenum availability without even knowing it. However, most soils are still deficient in this crucial element. The easiest way to add molybdenum is through sodium molybdate or ammonium molybdate. You need incredibly small amounts because plants require it in trace quantities. I dissolve about 1/16 of a teaspoon in a gallon of water and apply it as a foliar spray at the beginning of the growing season. You can also find it in complete trace mineral mixes, which is actually how I prefer to apply it now since it's easier to measure and less risky. Manganese is what I call the energy multiplier. It's directly involved in photosynthesis and helps plants convert sunlight into sugars more efficiently. When your plants have adequate manganese, they're literally better at making food for themselves, which translates directly into faster growth and bigger harvests. Manganese deficiency shows up as intervenal chlorosis, which means the leaf veins stay green, but the tissue between them turns yellow. I see this constantly in alkaline soils or heavily composted gardens where the pH has crept up. Young leaves are affected first, which helps distinguish manganese deficiency from other issues. Beyond photosynthesis, manganese plays a crucial role in disease resistance. It activates enzymes involved in lignin synthesis, which strengthens cell walls and makes plants less susceptible to fungal infections. Since I started ensuring adequate manganese in my soil, I've noticed significantly less powdery mildew on my squash and cucumbers. You can add manganese through manganese sulfate, which is readily available and inexpensive. I broadcast about 4 ounces per 100 square feet of garden space and work it into the top few inches of soil. If you suspect a deficiency mid-season, foliar spraying with a weak manganese sulfate solution provides quick relief. Chelated manganese products are also available and work especially well in alkaline soils where regular manganese sulfate becomes locked up. Zinc is absolutely essential for the production of plant growth hormones, particularly auxins. Without adequate zinc, your plants simply won't grow to their full potential, no matter what else you do right. I learned this the hard way when my corn stayed stunted despite perfect growing conditions. Zinc deficiency is surprisingly common, especially in high pH soils, heavily weathered soils, or gardens where topsoil has been removed. The classic symptom is shortened internodes, which means plants look bunched up with leaves clustered close together. You'll also see small narrow leaves and sometimes a bronzing or mottling pattern. What makes zinc so powerful is its role in protein synthesis and enzyme activation. It's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in plants. When zinc levels are optimized, plants grow more vigorously, develop stronger root systems, and mature more quickly. This means earlier harvests, and often a second flush of production before the season ends. Adding zinc is straightforward. Zinc sulfate is the most common form, and I apply about 4 ounces per 100 square feet once a year, usually in early spring. You can also use chelated zinc products, which remain available to plants even in alkaline conditions. Many gardeners find that adding composted manure naturally boosts zinc levels, since animal feeds are often supplemented with this mineral. Now here's a mineral that almost nobody talks about in home gardening circles, but it's been a total revelation for me. Silicon isn't technically essential for plant survival, but it dramatically improves plant health, stress tolerance, and yields. Think of it as the difference between surviving and thriving. Silicon strengthens cell walls, making plants more resistant to pests, diseases, and environmental stress. My tomatoes stand straighter, my peppers handle heat better, and pest damage has decreased dramatically since I started adding silicon. It's particularly beneficial for plants in the grass family like corn, but I've seen improvements across everything I grow. Silicon also improves drought tolerance by helping plants regulate water loss through their stomata. During hot summer stretches, my silicon-treated plants maintain their vigor while my neighbors' gardens look stressed and wilted. It's like giving your plants an invisible suit of armor. The best source of silicon for gardens is diatomaceous earth or rice hulls. I mix diatomaceous earth into my potting soil and side dress garden beds with it throughout the season. About 5 pounds per 100 square feet is my standard application rate. Liquid silicon products are also available and work well as foliar sprays. Bamboo extract is another excellent organic source that's gaining popularity. The real power comes from using all 5 of these minerals together. They work synergistically, meaning each one enhances the effectiveness of the others. Since incorporating these trace minerals into my regular garden routine, I've seen consistently larger harvests, healthier plants, better disease resistance, and earlier production. So, my approach is simple. At the beginning of each season, I prepare a trace mineral blend that includes all 5 elements in the right amounts. I work this into the soil before planting, and then I follow up with light applications throughout the growing season, either as side dressing or foliar sprays, depending on what the plants need. The investment is minimal compared to the results, honestly. We're talking about just a few dollars per season for materials that will dramatically improve your harvest. When you compare that to constantly buying more conventional fertilizer or dealing with plant health problems, it's absolutely worth it. Remember, healthy soil grows healthy plants, and healthy plants produce abundant harvests. These 5 hidden minerals are the missing pieces that, most gardeners never discover. But now you know the secret, and you're equipped to transform your own garden just like I transformed mine. If you found this information valuable, do me a favor and subscribe to Ruthhaven Grounds. Share this article with your gardening friends who are struggling to get the yields they deserve. Together, we're building a community of growers who understand that great gardening goes beyond the NPK ratios on the fertilizer bag. Let's keep learning, growing, and harvesting abundance together. Happy growing, friends. I'll see you in the garden.